Okay, can everybody stand and face the flag? We're going to be doing the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome to the May meeting of Community Board 5. Please, my name is Walter Sanchez. I'll be the chair of the meeting tonight. I'm from Maspeth. I'm a volunteer. As just about everybody who's on the board, everybody on the board is. We're going to start with a public forum, and the first speaker we have is Cynthia Stubbs from 60th Road in Maspeth. Cynthia, you out there? Right there.
Hi.
2 minutes, please.
Okay, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I wanted to thank the community board for your service and the respect that you showed to speakers, especially politicians and their staffers that come each month. A few weeks ago, I was reading an article about a community board 2 meeting where the board members verbally attacked a young staffer of one of our local politicians. And then at their May meeting, when the politician attended via Zoom, they again attacked him and called for his resignation. I was under the assumption that the politicians come to these meetings to inform community members about pending legislation and upcoming events. At the various Community Board 5 meetings that I've attended, either via the web or in person, I've always noted that the board always treats everyone with respect, and for that I wanted to thank you.
Thank you very much. And I forgot to say no personal attacks. That's why maybe they should say no personal attacks, because this is really not the forum for that. Thank you very much. Dorothy Workmeister, and it's about city bike locations, and she is 65th Lane in Middle Village.
Hi everyone. I'm here today because I'm very, very upset about the city bike stanchion that was just placed on the corner of my block, 65th Lane, at the corner of Metropolitan Avenue in Middle Village. They've placed 24 stanchions there, and I'm very concerned about the safety, not only the safety of the people riding the bikes, the pedestrians, the elderly on the block, and also the young children that are playing on the block. I'd like to know what criteria was actually used to choose this location, especially since there's a stanchion that has 26 stations on it for the bikes right here in front of 6626 Metropolitan Avenue, which you all know was Kmart's entrance. So it's less than 1/10 of a mile away. They felt it necessary to put this stanchion on our block. Since it's been there, I did observe a woman get on the bike and try to ride down the sidewalk, nearly running over some of our children. That was the first thing. I'd like to know where the traffic study is that said this was a good location, because at the corner of our block, there's a sign that says, "Stop here on red signal." I actually took pictures of all these things to show. No one stops at this sign. There's no line there. And the next corner, our block is 65th Lane. So before it is a line, stop at red signal. Then is our block. We have all these 26 city bikes. Then there's another sign that says, "Keep intersection clear." And right from here to that table is the traffic light for the entrance to BJ's and whatever's down there, Burger King. So what happens? The cars are coming down Metropolitan Avenue, lights changing, bang, step on the gas so we can make that light. When I called the community board, I said to John, I don't understand how they could choose this location. So many people go through the cemetery there. And John says, wow, I didn't know there was an entrance to the cemetery. I said, there isn't, but there's often one created by the car accidents that happen there, and the car goes flying through the fence. That's also the entrance for the Correction Academy. So there's a lot of traffic there. Let's see. Bob Holden on the Daily News, April 3rd, said he had less than a week later, Bob Holden did an article in the Daily News. NYC must get e-bikes under control, condemning these bikes being in the residential neighborhoods. That was April 3rd. Within a week, this thing appears on our block, 65th Lane. Another article, teen riding city bike, third bike share death. I have that right here. Teen riding city bike dies in Queens hit and run, marking third bike share death in 2023. That's April 11, 2023.
All right, Dorothy, we're going to give you some answers. You're kind of going over time. I don't think we're going to let you down. We were not as involved as I wish we were in the selection of the city bikes. The DOT kind of took over, but we've since replaced the chair of our transportation committee with Eric Buckowitz, who's, I'm going to ask him to say a couple words on that to try to give you answers.
Does that mean you're cutting me off?
So
I have some more statistics. How many more people have gotten run over by these city bikes, pedestrians, and bike accidents?
I appreciate you
printed it
coming,
all.
and we have been addressing specific locations at our committee meetings.
Okay.
The thing is, although the DOT did eventually take feedback from us and move a lot of locations, they still put a lot in bad spots. And we've 2 or 3 locations so far we recommended a move. If you can take
One of them.
If you could take that location, send it to the board office, we'll add it to the agenda for the next committee meeting of the Transportation Committee on May 30th.
May I come to that meeting as well?
Yes, and I would love you to be there, because then you can answer any questions we have when we discuss it.
Okay, and you are?
Eric Buckowitz,
Thank you very much.
of course.
And what we're going to do is, since you put your email address here, hope it's a correct address, we're going to send you the meeting notice for transportation meetings so that you could come to it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Edward Latow, who's a board member.
Good evening, everybody. I came tonight as a board member representing Ridgewood, but also as a Queens Board of Election employee, and want to talk about, if anybody is interested, we started the training for our poll workers for the primary for June 27th, and we will have training for the general election for November 7th throughout the summer. And you could be registered as a voter in a party. You could have a non-party, and you could be an interpreter if you speak a language. You could be accessibility clerk, which is like a door clerk. There are a number of positions that we would train you for to work the elections. And I have poll worker applications, and you could go on vote.nyc to learn more about the elections, and you could create an online account through electiondayworker.com and fill out an online poll worker application.
Thank you. Francis Perez from 65th Lane, Middle Village, about city bike location.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm here to fight for our families, to be a change maker. On April 7th, as you already know, city bikes were placed on our block. Not one notice, not an email, not a flyer to the residents who are homeowners regarding these upcoming changes. It was just all sneaked up on us, and that is not right. They put 26 bikes installed on the residential block. Our block has 72 homes. That's a total of 144 families that is affected by this 26 bike docking station. Not to mention, as Dorothy said, less than a mile away, there is another 26 bikes, a total of 36 bikes, which is unreasonable. Statistically, commuters, only 1% of commuters travel by bicycles. In a neighborhood of families, only 0.4% of workers 45 and older commute to work. This neighborhood is full of families, aunts, uncles, grandparents. None of us use these bikes to go to work. Do they want me to take my bike and take my daughter and bike ride to 153 on the basket of the city bike? How am I supposed to go food shopping for a family of 4 on a city bike? It's unreasonable. They don't think about the families. Not to mention criminals using city bikes to rob headsets off people. You pass over by the men's shelter over by Atlas, and there's abandoned city bikes, 2 of them. This was on April 18th and on April 15th. It's not fair. Our families don't deserve this. I think New York City needs to stop thinking about making money and start thinking about us. And I want to thank you for thinking about us.
Okay. we have to figure out a way to do a study of how the city bikes are being used, because we don't want them to, the location that we see, they're filled with city bikes. I'm not sure whether people use them either. So we're going to put our transportation committee on that just to see, so that we can really tell DOT, maybe dictate where we could put some of these. Thank you for testifying on that. You did not put your email address here, so your friend will give you the notices of the meetings. Gina Cano, City Bike location. 65th Lane, Maspeth. Neighbors. Okay.
Hi, good
Hey.
evening. I'm not going to say everything because they said a lot of what I wanted to say, but I've lived on this block my whole entire life, and parking has been terrible since the city bikes came on. My mother, as well as other people, have sometimes wait 2 hours for spots, and it's just not about the spots. The bikes, people don't use them. And just to jump on what they said, the actual Google distance is 0.2 from where the other one is in front of Kmart. There is ample enough of bikes in that location. There was no need to put them in the street on our block, where, as the other lady said, there's 72 houses with families who need these spots. And also another thing besides the accident concerns is the people coming in and out from different neighborhoods. We've seen a lot of drug addicts come in and using the bikes with their coffee. They come in, they're just floating in different neighborhoods, and it's dangerous. And we just have a concern for safety in general, and with parking and accidents. It's a very busy intersection, like she said. When there's a light, people don't stop and they block the intersection. And as you know, bikers, they don't tend to go the right way. I've seen them drive down the wrong way. Our block is a one-way street. They come down the wrong way, and it's dangerous. And there's lots of kids on our block. So thank you.
Thank you. And your email address, Dreamgal, right? That's it? Sorry, didn't mean to embarrass her. Very important that you testify and tell us this, because we can use that as ammunition with DOT and with the borough president. So thank you for coming down. Really appreciate it. Robert Mitchell, Lotus Lounge, Myrtle Avenue.
Hey, how you doing? Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to take the opportunity to introduce myself and my business. We currently just opened up a new restaurant on Myrtle Avenue in 66th Place. And, we're here at the community board. We want to be actively involved. And we're providing local jobs to the economy. So we figured we'd come introduce ourselves, attend a board meeting, and see if there's anything that needs to be done that we can help participate with. We're situated right next to the fire station. We're open 5 days a week. We currently have 10 employees that are employed from the neighborhood, and we're doing DoorDash and Uber Eats. So feel free to come by. We'll offer you a 40% discount if you say you're from the board meeting, and we look forward to seeing you guys. And we're here for the meeting and every meeting moving forward. Yes, sir. How may I help you? Lotus Lounge. It's right next to the fire station, the old K&A. Okay. And I look forward, if there's any problems, please feel free to call us any time of the day. We'll help resolve it.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Appreciate it. Robert Savino, 60th Road, Maspeth, about speed cameras.
Good evening, everyone. I live in 60th Road by the school 153. It is a disaster. We were supposed to get 2 speed bumps. They only put one way at the front of the block. And these guys go over the speed bump and they floor the car. They do 40, 50 miles an hour down the block. We asked for the speed bump. Somebody came, said you can't have them because there's driveways on both sides. So I said, well, how about a speed bump? How about the speed camera? And that's why I'm here. We need a speed camera desperately. Recently, I just bought a new car, and my car talks to me. And if I go up Elliott Avenue, Fresh Pond Road, speed camera, 1.6 miles an hour. Red light camera. If you go down Elliott Avenue and you make a right turn and go up to the Bell Parkway, it talks to me 14 times. So if you don't have this technology in your car and you take a trip to the Bell Parkway, you got to be very, very. We've had accidents. We've had kids get hit by a car because they double park on the block, and they come down the block with the air horns for the trucks, and they get mad and they hit the accelerator and they fly down the block. We need a speed camera desperately, and I really appreciate it if you give this a good, serious thought.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
What's the cross street? I'm sorry, what's the cross street?
60th Lane,
And,
60th Road.
okay, 60th Lane, 60th Road. Street. Right, okay. So we're going to give that to the Transportation Committee and hope that DOT pays attention.
Camera enforced.
Got it. Never had it, right. Now they have cameras. Got it. DOT, got it, have it. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. That ends the public forum. So we have some legislator representatives here, and I'm going to call up Jonathan Bentoncourt from Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez's office.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? Good. Beautiful weather out. My name is Jonathan Betancourt. I'm here on behalf of Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez. Just want to give you guys a couple of brief updates on what the Congresswoman has been doing. So last week was Small Business Week. So all throughout last week, she toured a lot of small businesses throughout the district, including one here in Ridgewood, Abco Sheet Metal Company. Which is a proud union shop and sheet metal manufacturer. She also presented a $750,000 check to Evergreen, which is an organization that provides technical assistance has provided technical assistance to over 4,000 small businesses throughout our district. Also, the Congresswoman has been making her rounds and having meetings with different NYPD precincts. Last week, she had a meeting with the precincts in Brooklyn North, and we're currently setting up a meeting to have precincts like the 104, the 102 here in Queens as well. So if you have any issues you want to bring up to my attention, I have cards. You can come visit me. I'll be in the back over there. Also, the asylum seekers. This is a hot topic issue that we all are seeing here in the city. We have been seeing a large influx of asylum seekers. The mayor has asked the president for additional funds to help cover the estimated $4.3 billion cost of maintaining tens of thousands of asylum seekers. And the Congresswoman recognizes that this has been a financial strain on our city resources. So she held a press conference in Washington, D.C., in front of the Capitol, urging the federal government to step in and provide further funding to the city. She not only recognizes that this is a financial strain, but she also knows that we have to fix our broken immigration system and address the influx of asylum seekers. Lastly, I just want to mention that we have 2 upcoming resource fairs, one here in Ridgewood at IS 93 on May 20th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. I have the flyer over here. There's flyers back there if you want some as well. And then we have another resource fair on June 2nd in Ozone Park at PS 64. Please come out. There's going to be great organizations there. There's going to be federal agencies, city agencies, great information for everyone, homeowners, renters. We have CB5 will also be there. I have to mention that. Common Point Queens. We have the FDNY coming out. FEMA. Great. Just please come out. It is May 20th at IS 93 on Forest Avenue. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Craig Caruana here from Councilmember Bob Holden's office. Real quick, City Bike, that was terrible what happened to this community. The community board was definitely kept out of the picture. To answer, I think, your original question, how do they select these sites, They literally put a giant grid over the city, all just equidistant apart. There's no transportation study, there's no expected demand of use. It was just equally distributed. So we met with the commission over this. We fought very hard. I will say, though, if this is a good, I think, learning opportunity for the community. We were trying to put out a lot of stuff about this on our social media, in our newsletter. So when you see like DOT asking for surveys, please answer them, because they take that information, they run with it, especially on biking issues. People that want more, alternative means of transportation, people who want to get rid of parking spaces, they are very well organized, and they make their voices known. So if you oppose those policies, definitely come to the community board, call Queens DOT, and tell them what's going on and that you oppose what they're doing. I think that's just very important. In the interest of time, I'll keep going, but if you want to talk more about this offline, speak to me tonight or just call our office. Councilmember Holden's been holding, our office has become a veteran resource center, so about twice a month, any veteran or family member can come to our office and meet with a staff member from the Department of Veteran Services. They do things like help you with your VA claim, tell you about all the benefits you might qualify for. So please check it out if you're a veteran or if a family member is a veteran. The budget negotiations are ongoing now at the City Council. Councilman Holden is pushing for veteran groups to get funding through member-designated initiatives, whereby all 51 council members will have a certain X amount of money to distribute to veteran service organizations. We recently had a bill get a hearing for community, specific to the community board, for all community boards across the city to have a veterans committee. You could look up the bill online, give me a call if you want me to go into any details about it. We just finished up a big tow operation in the city, in our district. So there's always derelict vehicles, vehicles parked without license plates, vehicles parked with fake license plates, vehicles that seem to have been abandoned or they haven't moved in weeks at a time. So these tow operations always round up a ton of vehicles that are parked illegally. So if you have one of these, and this isn't, we don't mean they're parked for 24 hours, right? This is where these vehicles have been parked on weeks on end. You could see they've either been abandoned or they're for some reason being stored against city regulations. If you have this on your block or in your neighborhood, please give us a call, because the police do respond very quickly to our requests. And finally, we do know flooding is an issue. This is still the focus of Councilmember Holden. We talk to DEP regularly about these issues. We do have a list that we continually update and send to DEP. If you think there is a specific sewer issue on your block, or if you're getting flooding, through no fault of your own. So if that's happening to you, please do call the office. Let us know so that we can update DEP.
Thank you.
And with that, thank you.
Thanks for your hard work. Representing Jennifer Gutierrez, councilperson, is Juan Mayancela.
Hey everyone, my name is Juan Mayoncel. I am here with the Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez's office. Just quick updates from our end. We are hosting yoga classes at Grover Cleveland every Saturday. They're being held by the volleyball courts. Thank you to Greater Ridgewood Restoration for partnering with us. The PB results are in for participatory budget. A shout out to PS 239 who had the highest vote count, and they will be receiving upgrades for their auditorium. And District 34 will also be receiving more trees. May 20th, our office is partnering up with the Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez Resource Fair, so we'll be there supporting them. If you want to stop by and have any questions for us, please come by. The Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez will also be doing a site visit at Woodward and Linden Street at 616 Woodward Avenue, which is the building that has the scaffolding. We know there are many problems that the community members have brought to our attention, so we are inviting city agencies to do a walk through a site visit. We've also extended the invitation to CB5. So if you want to come and stop by, it will be on Friday at 10 in the morning. We understand that heavy rains are more common in Ridgewood. So if you have any problem with flooding issues, any locations, please contact our office at 718-963-3141. Thank you.
Thank you. Representing State Senator Joseph Adabo, John D'Angelo. There he is.
A little shorter. Good evening, everybody. The senator sends his regards. I believe he's actually in transit coming back from Albany as we speak, so he may be here any moment. No, he does just sneak in though. But okay, so just basically, the past 2 weekends we finished 2 of our signature events, along with Jennifer Rajkumar's office, paper shredding and e-waste recycling. They'll probably both be repeated again in the fall. And the only other thing we have coming up now for May, both events at Atlas Park. On Saturday, May 20th, it's a community health fair. And then on Tuesday, May 30th, a blood drive. Any details, just please call our office, or as usual, anything you need help with. We get a vast variety of questions, and et cetera, et cetera. And where? Atlas Park. In front of, I think it's the men's suits store. Okay. You okay?
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thanks. Representing Assemblyman Stephen Raga, Jolly Patel.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Hopefully you can all hear me okay. So I'm from Stephen Raga's office, representing him today. Some good news. We did wrap up the state budget that's officially passed. Some highlights include, for education, there was a $34 billion in school aid to better support public schools that was included. In addition, for transportation, funding to increase service and a requirement that New York City contributes $165 million for paratransit services, like Accessoride, was also included. And finally, labor for overall minimum wage was increased to $17 in New York City. Some of the initial or immediate things happening right now regarding the flooding, we've reached out to the Department of Environmental Protection. So if you see any sewer grates that haven't been cleaned and are clogged, please contact our office at 718-651-3185 so we can address the issue with DEP. Also, we're requesting more inflatable rain barrels from them as well. Lastly, we're in contact with the State Department of Transportation to discuss maintenance and addressing the flooding on the BQE. Some upcoming events we're hosting. Tomorrow we'll have a shredding event at the Big Six Towers from 9 to 11 a.m. So please stop by in Woodside if you need any paper shredding. Also, we'll have a rain barrel giveaway this Saturday from 9:30 to 12:30 at MassPath Federal. So if you are around the area, please stop by, or call our office first to let us know you need a rain barrel, and if you're outside of the district, then we'll put you on a waiting list. And then finally, we'll have a self-defense workshop with AM JGR's office and Representative Mings. That's on Wednesday, June 28th, a little far away from now, but it's from 6 to 7 p.m. at Travers Park. Thank you.
Thank you. And your office is right across the street from Mansfield Federal, right?
That's correct.
69th Street.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. We have Viola from Assemblywoman Jennifer Rajkumar's office.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Viola. I'm Chief of Staff for New York State Assemblywoman Jennifer Rajkumar. It's really nice being here again tonight. I just want to give a couple of dates from our office. Assemblywoman Rajkumar, just like all the other Assembly members and state legislators, she's actually on the way back from Albany as we speak. But some good news, budget has passed. And one very important item that I want to bring here and let everyone know is that one thing we were very glad to see on the budget is the child tax credit that was expanded. The Assemblyman spoke on the floor on this very important bill as well. We hosted the paper shredding event and the e-waste event in partnership with Senator Adabo. We also hosted a webinar on scams with the district attorney. It was a webinar with Queens-wide, and we actually had a lot of people, especially from our district, so I was really happy to see that. We hosted just earlier today an AAPI event with Melinda Katz, the district attorney, and coming up on the 22nd, we're partnering up with Queensborough President Donovan Richards on another AAPI Heritage event. And I don't know if you guys remember, but last month I spoke on one of our very important bills, the waste bill. It's about trash, so that's exciting. I'm just kidding. So one of our bills, the waste bill, regarding the train that transports the waste, it's open in the air, and that really causes an odor. If you live right by the tracks, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We had a bill on requiring the railroad to cover the waste, and I'm glad to announce that the bill passed earlier a couple of weeks ago. So we're very glad. It was a work in progress for many, many years. So we're just very glad to see that passed. And it actually passed right on Earth Day, so that was very excited to see as well. And now we're waiting for the Senate to pass in the Senate and hopefully be signed into a law and forget the smell. I think that's going to be very difficult, but hopefully. Again, this is Viola. If you guys have any questions, I'll be sitting over there. Feel free to reach out. Our office is right on Woodhaven Boulevard. Thank you all.
Thank you. Representing Assembly Member Juan Ardilla, Kevin Gerasimo, Jacino. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Jacino. I'm from the Office of Assemblyman Juan Ardilla. As my legislative coworker, Viola, the legislators are on their way back down from Albany today. But I just wanted to share a few updates. I know a few of them were mentioned, but with the state budget being passed, there's a lot of green, climate-related legislation, through which, three of the highlights are the Build Power Renewables Act, Electric Buildings Act, and the New York Climate Action Fund. These bills sort of, put New York in the lead position nationwide in the combat against climate change. Another few highlights of the budget, there was a lot of transit-related inclusions so far. One of the biggest, the 5 free public bus services pilot launch, one in every borough, and one's coming to Queens, obviously, and we're going to do our best so it can benefit a lot of the CB5 community members and constituents. And not only that, but there's a $35 million allocation in the budget to increase services, right? Frequent services for transit riders. On a different note, Foundation Aid, this is the first time Foundation Aid will be fully funded in New York. And for higher education related matters, there will be no hikes to tuition for CUNY or SUNY students. And related to the budget, if you have any more questions, you can definitely reach out. And for a few district-related matters, in Ridgewood, in the past month, we held 2 events. One which was a community cleanup around Forest Avenue in Putnam. And the other one was clothing distribution for migrant families that are also in Ridgewood. And so, we're tackling the neighborhoods at a time. And so if anybody has any suggestions, any needs, we also got a few calls from constituents regarding some flooding, some sewer floodings and stuff like that. And we're in constant contact with agencies at the state and the local level to resolve these issues. But if anyone has any questions, any concerns, feel free to reach out. And by all means, more than happy to help you guys figure this out, anything at all. But pleasure. Thank you so much. And I'll be over there if you have any questions. Thanks.
Thanks. Oh, we have one more. It's from Senator Julia Salazar's office, Maria Valdez. Just made it under the wire. 2 minutes, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Valdez on behalf of Senator Salazar. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here. She's still in Albany, but she sends her best greetings to everyone. She also wants to invite everyone to her State of the District meeting, which will be on June 15th at 6 p.m. We will share the flyers. I think we share already on the board, so we will share them also with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're now going to go to the chairperson's report. And as Cynthia said before, it's very, very important, first speaker, Cynthia, that the legislators do come to this meeting. They respect us. It's an open meeting. You can go and sit with them and speak to them as long as you're not loud and disturbing the meeting, which you guys aren't really. So it's great that they come out. Thank you for coming out. This is the time you could really talk to them. And at a community board meeting is really when you can get a lot from them. So 8 of them are here today, so take advantage of that if you can. We're going to go over, we had an executive committee meeting last night, and we went over committee assignments. So by the end of the week, you're all going to be getting your committee assignments. We asked you last month, the month before, to email us, and then I spoke to some people here to get it verbally, what committees you'd like to be on. It's very, very important for us that the committees are active. That's why we want to give you the committees you're asking for. So if you get a committee that you really don't want, our challenge is we have to fill the committees. We don't want committees with 5 members. We want them with 9 or 10, so we have to fill some committees. But if you didn't get the committee you're looking for, come to us and just say something. You could email me, call me, email the office. We'll see what we can do to work it out, okay? Is that all right? Because we really want you to serve on those committees. We have, and I'll announce what the committees are. It's education, environmental, health committee. We have a homeless committee, the housing committee, land use committee, library committee, SLA and cannabis committee. It's a new committee we just had put up here. Parks committee, we have public safety, public transit, sanitation, transportation, youth, an industrial committee, because we have a couple of industrial sections here, and a bylaws committee, working on the bylaws of this board. So those are the committees we have. I mean, they're very active. We'd like you to come to those committees, meetings. And the public is absolutely invited to those meetings. If you would like to get on any list for any of our committees, just let us know. Put your email address down here, and we'll be happy to take that and to invite you to those meetings. They're usually at the board office. So that's where we go with that. We're next going to be on, we're going to talk about our alcoholic beverages, the liquor licenses that we have gotten. So does Mary Ann or Patrick want to speak about any of the liquor licenses we're up against? So every month we have new we have applications for new liquor licenses, liquor license renewals, new wine and beer, and things like that. So and wine and beer renewals. So I'm going to mention them. And Mary Ann, what I'll do is if you guys spoke about or have concerns on any of them, just let us know. I'll read them off first. Sark Food Group LLC, doing business as Gunther's at 487 Seneca Avenue, Ridgewood. La Katrina Queens, Inc., it's 5275 65th Place in Maspeth. Those are new liquor licenses that are being requested. For liquor licenses that are renewals, Connolly's Corner, 7115, 17, and 19 Grand Avenue. Serbian Association of New York, 7254 65th Place, Glendale. Evil Twin Brewing, 1612 to 1616 George Street, that's in Ridgewood. Milan Sports Inc., 7311 Metropolitan Avenue, Middle Village. These are liquor license renewals. Myrtle Dorado Restaurant Corp., El Dorado Restaurant, 5455 Myrtle Avenue, Ridgewood. Poppers Locarno, DBA Holo, 1563 Decatur Street in Ridgewood. Any of those sparking interest? Okay. For new wine, beer, and cider, we have Kanji Sushi Hibachi Ridgewood, Inc., Kanji Sushi Hibachi, 6419 Myrtle Avenue, Glendale. Gets a new wine, beer, and cider license. And renewal for wine, beer, and cider, Lacanoa Inc., 651 Onderdonk. That's in Ridgewood. That's a wine, beer, and cider renewal. Cypress Cafe LLC, 1702 Stanhope Street. They were applying for its method of operation, change to add live music, 1702 Stanhope Street, as well as a temporary retail permit for liquor, wine, beer, cider, while they go through their application for a class change. And we talked about that at last month's meeting. Anything on that, Liquor License Committee? Patrick? Okay. Mary Ann? No. We're good with that. We have demolition notices. Yes. Okay. Demolition notices. We have in Ridgewood, 5637 Cooper Avenue, construction of a 3-story manufacturing building. Okay, on 6245, 6247, 6249, 60th Street in Ridgewood, construction of a 3-story residential building. And at 6103 Metropolitan Avenue, a complete demolition. Any questions on any of that? No? Okay. We are now going to move on to the district manager's report, and that's Gary Giordano. Sorry.
I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, the minutes.
All right, we're going to ask for, the minutes were sent to you, so we're going to ask for a motion to accept those minutes. Walter Clayton. Second, Dimitro. All those in favor? Any opposed? No? Good. Gary Giordano.
So we had quite a few committee meetings this month, and they're going to report with regard to all of that. So I don't have too much to say other than as far as flooding problems go, we've been after DEP for some major projects and have been successful for quite some time. And the project we're looking for now is a sewer project in Glendale. It is likely to be on 77th Avenue from 80th Street going to at least 88th Street, because we had a situation, Penelope Avenue, are at the bottom of the hill. So they get all the water coming from Forest Park and Myrtle Avenue. So the two big projects that we got in the last few years are Calamus Avenue in Maspeth and 69th Street in Maspeth. I've said it before, that was a $25 million project. And Penelope Avenue in Middle Village, which started out as a $20 million project, but because they found contamination in the ground, became like a $27 million project. So now our next big push is for Glendale, and this budget request that I'm following up on was made 2 or 3 years ago. And from what we know, it's in design. But we did get, and I was surprised, but I think 5 inches of rain in LaGuardia Airport a couple of weekends ago. And so I hope you're enjoying the nicer weather, because I think that put a lot of strain on the neighborhoods. It caused more flooding than I expected. Usually the flooding comes when you get more than 1.5 inches of rain in an hour. So the worst flooding we have ever gotten has been back to 2007. I can remember 4.5 inches in 45 minutes. And then in 2012, 3.5 inches an hour, where they were sweeping the water out of the stores on Austin Street that we saw on the television. So I don't think the climate situation is going to get any better anytime soon. So the likelihood is, and DEP has been good at preparing for this, that we are going to get more storms. You see it with the tornadoes, and certainly you see with the drought conditions in California and places like that, and then that's followed by excessive rain or snow, and it's sort of like who the heck knows. So I think, I wish that some environmental group would make regular attempts, or many environmental groups, including the EPA, to get people to reduce consumption. It's sort of like, what can each of us do as individuals? Mr. Kersner's done a good job. He's got solar panels on his home and a few other homes that he owns. But what can each of us do to reduce our consumption? And I think that's what we need to do throughout the country, because we are the biggest consumers of energy, to my knowledge, by far, in the world per capita. So we've had it a little too easy for too long. Paul?
If I may, for those of you, just to let you know that the projection for climate is that in 20 years or so, we're going to have the same climate as South Carolina. We're never going to see snow again, ever. We had about 2 inches of snow last winter, but That was it. And those of you who are worried about gas and who are worried about air conditioning, I should let you know that my air conditioning bill is $18.62 a month. You really have to, if you're young enough, you've really got to consider putting this in. The payback time is like 6 years. It makes sense. There are tax credits between the federal government and the state and the city. You get rebates on your taxes. It's definitely worthwhile doing. If you want further information, I'll be glad to help you out.
Okay. Lee?
Well, I'm concerned with all the conversion from gas to electricity. We already have a power grid that can't handle what we have now, and they're pushing for to eliminate gas heating and gas cooking and to push for gas cars. California already has days when you can't charge your car. And what people may not realize is 90% of the electricity is made from fossil fuels. So it's not really doing anything yet.
We have a long way to go, and we better get there quickly to do what we need to do.
Most definitely. And Paul, I'd like to talk to you later because I want to find out.
All right, so I thank you. Kathy Massey. Open up a can of worms, huh?
Thank you. Gary, I'm very grateful that that DEP is getting to 77th Avenue. And they've completed Penelope Avenue, which is a similar situation. And unfortunately, Penelope Avenue is still, residents with the amount of water are still having problems. Basements are still getting filled. I just wonder if maybe we could have a conversation with DEP and learn from whatever they did on Penelope. 77th Avenue is very similar with those downslope garages. Maybe there's some way that they can improve or correct what wasn't done on Penelope, so that 77 doesn't have all that work done and still have a problem.
I think that Penelope has less of a problem than they did have. It's far from a perfect situation, but from what I know, they have much less of a problem than they did have. But, big portion of doing these new sewer lines is to build more capacity. And whether it will be enough capacity or not, I'm not sure. And then there's the flow to the treatment plants, and it's kind of complicated. But your point is well taken, and I thank you.
Thank you. And with the Gary, I'm glad you brought up the rain. There was a lot of spot flooding, especially in Maspeth. The Serve Corps guy told me. If any of you have real problems on your block, you really need to let us know. We really took flooding seriously in the sewers seriously about 10 years ago when we got flooded out a number of times, and we put some projects in the pipeline. We recommended it, and they're just about there. So unless any real, if a street is really flooding, we had it down by Principe Park, and we ended up taking care of that. In fact, Steve Fiedler, who I'm going to call up in a minute, the chair of our Parks Committee, was very instrumental in taking care of that. Now it doesn't flood really at all, Steve. Thanks to you for finding there was a 3-inch pipe at the end of that. At the end of Principe Park there for the last 40 years has been trying to get rid of the rain. So we are now going to go to committee reports, and I'm going to call up Steve Fiedler. Parks. You could.
Okay, so on the agenda, you have capital updates, Star Playground, which is currently on schedule to be finished October 23rd. Planning for reconstructions of Vito Maranzano Glendale Playground. From what I understand, it's just in design, and that's as far as we got with that one. Planning for reconstruction of the upper ball fields at Juniper Valley Park. They're planning, as far as I know, to make one field artificial turf, okay? That was Cardinal Field number 7. The infield will be artificial, the outfield will be grass, and there'll be Mondo rubber tracks, and That's it. The other two will stay clay for the time being. Councilman Holden wants to see how it works to make sure you don't do all three at one time. Safety improvements made near the Forest Park entrance. Well, I met up there with Portia and Gary, and they are going to put in ballards now. They're going to make the berm higher, and they already moved the seats so nobody can get killed. Any questions?
So, I'm sorry. Steve,
yeah.
The question I thought this had come up once before. I had asked about the lower ball field at Juniper Park, that they just, when they flood out, they're unusable for weeks after rain.
Same thing up top.
Right.
That's why he wants to see what turf would do.
So the plan is to look at the lower ball fields after something's been done with the upper ball fields?
I would believe so. Okay? That has been in discussion too.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure there's eyes on it, that's all. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, Steve, I want to mention, actually, I heard it today, too, again, the beautiful track and field at Juniper Park. We're getting a lot of people now riding their bikes, possibly skates, too. I haven't verified that yet. And they're going to be tearing up that track. And that's a beautiful, expensive track, and we don't want to see that. And people come to me and telling me, because I patronize the park a lot, and, you know, I said, what does the parkmen do? They're a little concerned because some of these people are from out of neighborhoods. They get tough. We had one person complained about what they were doing one time, and he got his jaw broken. You heard about that. And, you know, so I said, you know, maybe the park people should call the cops when that happens and give them fines. But something should be done about that, because that's going to tear up that track.
You know, it's a public facility. You know, the last track held up pretty well. I think about 12 years, something like that. There will be people doing things they're not supposed to. And if are that interested, you can call PEP, Park Enforcement, all right? Or if it's severe enough, call the cops. You know what I mean? But what can you do? You know, there's only so many park workers, too, and their hands are tied. So it's good luck.
Yeah, I just want to say the park headquarters in that park is right adjacent to the track, and yet it's still happening.
Correct. Anybody else? Thank you.
We just take questions from committee board members. I'm sorry. You could talk to them, though.
How you doing? I heard the situation.
All right, so we're not going to, you guys can talk back there, because we just take questions from committee board members.
Yeah, right.
And we're going to call Robert Semelli. Do you have a report for health?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Homeless committee? Library committee? Anything there? Education? Kathy? No. Transportation? Yes. All right, Eric.
Good evening, everybody. Very briefly, the committee last met on April 25th. We continue to discuss numerous traffic and pedestrian safety requests, City Bike among them. We discussed proposals on bus stations, pedestrian crossways near the reservoir, the Ridgewood Reservoir. And I do encourage everybody who can come to come to our meeting. Our next meeting is May 30th, 7:30 p.m. at the Community Board 5 office. If you do have any requests you would like the committee to consider, please email the board office or call the board office ahead of time so the committee has time to investigate, so we can discuss that and have a substantive discussion instead of having to table it for the next month. So I do encourage everyone to come and attend if you can attend, and if you have anything you would like the committee to consider, please do let the board office know so we can discuss it at our May 30th meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know Eric and a number of our committee chairs, when the public comes, non-board members, we really pay attention to them. But be careful. You come enough times, you'll be a member of the committee. You hang out there long enough, you're a member. So now we have anything from sanitation, Paul? Yes. Go.
We had a meeting on Thursday, April the 20th, and Gary was good enough to take notes of that. We have 4 serious locations of dumping: Underdunk Avenue near Palmetto, St. Felix Avenue, Flushing Avenue, and Otto Road. And then we have a problem with enforcement. We do need, it would be nice if we could have the sanitation department to put the camcorders on the front of sweepers to catch the people who are not moving their vehicles for ASP, and then they can move their cars right back again. Maybe that's something that we can have our councilmen push, our 2 council people. And then the regulations for putting garbage out, we now have a new requirement. The mayor is really on, he hired a rat, I don't know what her title is. Czar, okay. Yeah, Czarina. And she's going to, so what we're looking to do is hopefully we can get, you can't put your garbage out until 8 p.m. And if you're putting out in plastic bags, and after 6, you're putting the garbage out in sealed containers. And Ted Renz, that the restaurant garbage is a big draw for rodents, and restaurants should always containerize their garbage. And finally, we have to remove outdoor dining locations with the help of the sanitation super, looking for those structures that are in poor condition or that are not being used. There are several structures that were recently removed on Myrtle Avenue near Cypress Avenue. And the other issue on the enforcement end is that we do have to have that section of the code, which 131.11 subsection C3 of the sanitation code, that requires that garbage receptacles be kept within the premises or the rear of the premises. So those are the things that we got going on sanitation.
So I got a question for you. So you see the sweet streeper coming down the block, and people are sometimes parked in their cars and then move over, and then when the street sweeper goes by, move back. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
But what we want to do is catch the ones who don't move.
Right. I get it.
And you can camcorder it, and maybe that's something that we have to get our councilman to do.
Okay. No, you can't. Sorry. You could talk to him, though. He's a nice guy. You could go talk to him. Because we can't do back and forth at the,
Walter, could I ask a question?
One more, go.
Yes.
Yes, a committee board member.
When the garbage says has to be out at a certain time, I don't know how this came about. My building is one of the few buildings that they keep the garbage down in the basement. The garbage is out. Most of the buildings, whether they're in a rat-proof receptacle, there's nothing rat-proof. I've seen a rat in the can with the cover, that's one complete mechanism, chew out through the can. They have sharp teeth. I've seen the rats chew into the sidewalk in the cement and make burrows in the tree pits. So there is no way that the garbage is not out. It's out all day and all night.
Well, that's why we have to enforce failure to store. You have to keep your receptacles in the rear of the premises or in your basement, and if you have it properly secured, you will never get any vermin, believe me, in the house. Not at all. I've done it, my parents before me, not a problem. That's the answer.
Thank you. Yes?
One very simple thing. The cars blocking the street sweepers. If we just had cameras in the sanitation trucks like you have on buses, that would take pictures of cars.
That's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, that would solve it.
Okay. So Francis, I'm sorry. The reason we don't do that is because it could encourage like back and forth and heckling and stuff like that. But we encourage you to come on up and speak to him or catch him after the meeting. All right. Thank you. Youth Committee. Environmental Committee. Public Safety? Yay! Mary Ann Latanzio.
The Public Safety Committee met on March 14, 2023. We went over our crime stats from year to date from 2023 to 2022. Murder, we're up by 1, 1 versus 0. Rape, we're down by 1, 3 versus 4. Robbery, up 10, 41 versus 31. Felony assaults, up 15, 57 versus 42. Burglaries down 9, 42 versus 51. Grand larcenies down 4, 121 versus 125. And grand larceny autos up 17, 59 versus 42. We went over a 28-day period in 2023 versus 2022. Murder was 0 against 0. Rape was 2 versus 2. Robbery, 14 versus 12. Felony assault was 29 versus 14, up 107%. Burglary was 19 versus 19, and grand larceny down 8, 49 versus 57, and grand larceny auto 28 versus 17, up 64%. Sector C in Maspeth is up in crime. People leaving keys in their cars while it's running. According to Officer Berish, a significant increase in robberies in the Ridgewood-Bushwick border. The 104th Precinct officers took 7 guns in a single weekend, mostly unregistered handguns, according to Officer Berish. Officer Bonita stated all guns seized are given to state and federal law enforcement officials. We then talked about staffing at the 104. We have 7 lieutenants, 19 sergeants, 142 police officers. The 104 just received 8 new officers. The committee discussed double parking at dismissal time at schools. Officer Berish stated they talked to the principals to try to stagger dismissal times. Officer Berish stated some tickets issued, but they don't like to issue tickets to parents picking up their children. The committee expressed the concern for children crossing streets between double and triple parked cars. We discussed how many officers patrol the 104. Officer Berish stated usually 15 to 19 officers patrol. Officer Bonita stated 10 patrols, while the others are assigned to transit. Troubling crimes in the 104. We discussed carjackings in Maspeth, shootings on Myrtle Avenue at gunpoint, robberies. Officer Berry stated the shooting was on Myrtle Avenue and 88th Street, where shots were fired from one car into another. NCO status. We have 2 new Maspeth NCOs, and we have a new NCO sergeant, Sergeant Roman. Summonses in the 104. 2022, over 11,000 parking summonses just from 311 calls, according to Officer Berish. In a 28-day period, there was 744 parking, 636 moving violations. Year to date, 2,204 parking violations and 1,676 moving violations. 100 summonses and 40 confiscated e-bikes so far this year. Confiscations are vehicles not registered or insured, according to Officer Berish. Stores selling cannabis with no license. The 104th are aware of the illegal shops, and the sites are targeted for robberies for large cash and products on hand. Officer Berry stated he believes police officers are going to be more active with enforcement because of the robberies that are occurring. Thank you very much.
Plethora of information there and statistics. Good job. Thank you.
You have a question? Oh, okay. Thank you.
So we have the cannabis. We have a cannabis and liquor license committee. Do we have anything from you guys? All right, Patrick. So we're forward thinking here in this board, and we have a cannabis committee because we know they're going to look to put cannabis stores here. So we want to, think about it and talk about it and go for it.
All right, good evening, everyone. We had a meeting on Monday, which was the 9th. First order of business was discussing the current state of the liquor, wine, and beer application renewals and changes. The 104 staff that works with nightlife issues were asked to comment on locations for this month and responded positively with no issues at the locations on the list that we went over before. There was a late submission for Poppers doing business as Holo, which was on the list, and 104 did not comment on that, that I know of at the time. There was 2 locations that we discussed that were brought up at last month's meeting: 465 Seneca Avenue and 913 Wyckoff Avenue, both in Ridgewood. In these locations, we had incidents requiring police intervention in the past while they operated under the same applicant's management and subsequently shut down. The applicant for the location is using his partner or girlfriend or a named person on the SLA application, which seems to be an attempt to mislead any investigation into the licensing. Police have been to the locations multiple times for various reasons, including robbery and stabbing or slashing. In the prior meeting, this information was unbeknownst to the board. The locations went through the CB5 process without any negative comments. We had recommended the board vote in an objection to the current applications being granted a license from the State Liquor Authority. We also discussed another location, and Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, on the 678 Woodward Avenue, the Flying Fox Tavern. The applicant had requested an amendment to their current license to include the use of the backyard. Previously, the applicant stated they were not using the backyard, and their current license doesn't include the use of the outside area. Based on the location and it being a residential area, we recommend a vote of a negative vote for the use of the outside area, as it will have a negative impact on the surrounding residents. There was a discussion on the recommendation that we had brought up in March to the authorities to increase enforcement within CB5 on the illegal sale of cannabis products and the sale, excuse me, and the sale to minors. Discussion of the committee's reach and how we should proceed with advising against applicants for liquor and cannabis should be standardized, and we should use some sort of checklist to avoid any bias and keep the process streamlined.
Great. So you want us to discuss and vote against the applicant moving from the backyard at, what's the address?
That was 678 Woodward Avenue, the Flying Fox Tavern.
Okay. And the reason we have this liquor license committee and the reason we pay so much attention to liquor license and if the cannabis stores open us up is just that, so that the establishments know that we're watching them. We're not unreasonable. And as you saw today, an owner of establishment was here. That happens, it typically happens here. And we know that if it gets out there, and we have a news organization here, Elijah's here from the Times News Weekly, when we report and the bar owners know that, we kind of watch them, they could tell their patrons, say, you can't be doing that. You can't be urinating outside. The community board looks at us, and we just think in the long run that works. So we're pretty much sticklers on using the backyards after 2 a.m. Some places, say we like to hold it to midnight. Like if you're going to be in your backyard in this district, we like to be. I don't think it's unreasonable to say no later than midnight, because they're in residential neighborhoods. Grand Avenue, Hush, their backyard is right. Other backyards abut to them. So. Thank you for that. We're gonna vote on that recommendation. Go ahead.
Excuse me, please. Patrick, my recollection is that the committee didn't vote with regard to 678, that I was discussing this with the residents. But much more important than 678 Woodward is that we need to take a vote in opposition. I wrote a resolution. Yeah. In opposition to the proposed establishments at 465 Seneca Avenue, which is at the corner of Harmon Street, which has been operating as an illegal so-called bottle club, where, from information we got from the police, from 913 Wyckoff Avenue, which used to be Palace of Zuli, the guy who ran that place and owned that place to our knowledge, and that place got closed down, I think over a year ago. Then in the winter, set up shop at 465 Seneca, where years ago this community board, with help from the precinct, and the SLA got a place called Equinoxio closed down at 465 Seneca Avenue. So now this place opens at 465 under the cover of the night. They start operations at midnight and go till past 4 in the morning. And now, fittingly, the person who's operating it at 465 used to operate Palace Azuli at 913 Wyckoff. And according to the police department, SLA, we know that 465 Seneca is an application, a new application, and that 913 Wyckoff is a new application. And the girlfriend of the person who was operating at 913 Wyckoff, that got closed down, and now has the illegal bottle club, right, the guy, the girlfriend is the principal on both of the corporations that are now applying at 465 Wyckoff, at 465 Seneca and 913 Wyckoff. So Patrick, if you could please read that resolution, because I want to get a community board vote out of this, which will have better standing with the liquor authority than just my signature on a letter.
Great. Go for it.
Yep, that's what I was going to do next. So the Liquor License and Cannabis Committee of Community Board 5 Queens reports the following regarding notifications received for the sale of alcoholic beverages on-premise consumption. Whereas the committee met on Monday, May 8th, 2023 at 7 p.m. to review the most current notifications for potential sale of alcoholic beverages locally and to discuss the potential applications of concern that may be submitted to the New York State Liquor Authority. And whereas the committee was informed that there are serious concerns regarding potential licenses for alcoholic beverage sales at 465 Seneca Avenue and 913 Wyckoff Avenue. From information that has been received from representatives of the 104th Police Precinct, Community Board 5 Queens is informed as follows. For approximately 18 recent months, 465 Seneca Avenue has been operated as an unlicensed bottle club, and multiple crimes have occurred at this location, which is at the corner of Harmon Street and Ridgewood, Queens. According to information received from representatives of the 104th Precinct, these crimes include a stabbing/slashing on February 24th, 2022, and a robbery on January 29th, 2023. The person reportedly operating the illegal venue at 465 Seneca Avenue was Louis Otero, formerly of Palace of Azuli, another problematic and subsequently unlicensed bar restaurant, which was located at 913 Wyckoff Avenue. We are informed that this location, 913 Wyckoff Avenue, was shut down, which is likely why the operator of this location then opened illegal operations at 465 Seneca Avenue. The 30-day notification received for 465 Seneca Avenue states that the applicant is L. Ferberjon Corp., and the owner of this business is listed as Dulce Nunez Hernandez in the Community Board 5 Queens questionnaire returned. The representative of the applicant is listed as Sam Park of ABC license. The application is for a full on-premise liquor license. We are informed by the 104th Precinct representatives that Louis Otero, the person responsible for the illegal operations at 465 Seneca Avenue and 913 Wyckoff Avenue, and the perpetrator in the 129-23 robbery at 465 Seneca Avenue, is the boyfriend of Dulce Nunez Hernandez. And whereas the Community Board 5 Queens questionnaire returned for the proposed restaurant at 913 Wyckoff Avenue lists that applicant as Brisa del El Jr. Corp., and the owner is listed as Dulce Nunez Hernandez. The representative is listed on the questionnaire as Sam Park of ABC license. Considering the problems operations caused and operations caused enclosure of what was the Palace Azuli at 913 Wyckoff Avenue. Any illegal activity and crimes have been reported by the 104 Police Precinct at 465 Seneca Avenue, and the most recent operations of both of these locations have caused serious problems in the community. The Liquor License and Cannabis Committee recommends that the New York State Liquor Authority not issue a license for the sale of alcoholic beverages at both 465 Seneca Avenue and 913 Wyckoff Avenue. Therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Community Board 5 Queens recommend that the licenses for the sale of alcoholic beverages for on-premise consumption not be granted at both 465 Seneca Avenue and 913 Wyckoff Avenue in Ridgewood, Queens. This resolution recommendation shall be sent to the New York State Liquor Authority, to local, state, and city elected officials, and the 104th Police Precinct Commanding Officer.
We have a question here. What is a bottle club?
I am not 100% sure. It's
According to what I know, it's a police term. It's a situation where you bring your own bottle, right? And they were doing this in the middle of the night, from what the police are telling us, at 465 Seneca.
I guess we'll get that. We'll do that next.
All right, are there any questions on this resolution? Yeah, Fred.
Do you think you can call a voice vote, or do you need to go around?
Should go around. I mean, it's really the only resolution of the night. Let's go around.
Are we going to do the second resolution?
We have two.
The one from March?
Well, this one first.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, may I speak, or are we reading the next
for it.
resolution?
No, go for it. You have a question?
No, I have a question of clarification.
Sure.
It was mentioned in the resolution that their operation is illegal, and it is also mentioned that they're putting in an application. Does the fact that they're putting in an application is why the police can't stop them and close them right now? I don't understand.
To my knowledge,
if it's illegal, why don't you just get the cops to close them? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's good. It's an appropriate question.
To my knowledge, the police have closed them down at 465 Seneca. But they want they want to legalize the situation at 465 Seneca.
All right, so let's call the roll.
Okay.
So yes means that we're in favor of the resolution. You're in favor of the resolution, which is not to grant them a liquor license.
Yes. Mr. Adhikari?
Again?
You are for the committee report, right? Which is in opposition to the proposed liquor licenses. If you vote yes, right, you're voting in opposition to the proposed liquor licenses. Correct.
Yes means no.
Carol Benovic Bradley?
Means yes.
Antonetta Benanti?
For.
Jessica Boyardi? Eric Buckowitz?
For.
Michael Bick? Rachel Karachi? Maritza Carmona? Robert Chimelli? Ethan Chan? Deepak Chowdhury? Walter Clayton? Sal Krafasi? Pat Crowley? Daniel DeBrucker? Derek Evers? Dmytro Fedkowski? Stephen Fiedler? Dory Figliola? Fred Haller? Fred Hofferly? Paul Kersner? Mary Ann Latanzio? Diego Lecleary? Ed Littau? Kathy Massey? April Narsassian? Peggy O'Kane? Michael O'Kane? Don Passantino? Mike Porcelli? Melissa Rebecca? Ken Rayberger? Ted Renz? Luis Rodriguez. Lee Rottenberg. Walter Sanchez. Lily Scarabino. Dennis Stephan. Katarzyna Sita. Guy Nel Tapa. Robert Toscano. Patrick Trinchesi. Jasmine Valley. Mariana Zero. Brandon Zwagerman. Okay, I get everybody? Thank you.
You have another resolution. Go for it.
So we had another resolution that we went over in March that the comments were that we should pretty much make it specific to Community Board 5. So that's exactly what we did. I could read it again. And oh, I got the wrong paper here. All right, recommendation regarding cannabis being sold illegally from stores in our city. There are too many business locations where cannabis is being sold without a license in New York City. Remember, this was at the time, it was written in March, and we're amending it now. Currently, only 3 licenses have been issued for legal cannabis sales in our city. More needs to be done to reduce the problem of these illegal cannabis sales, considering that cannabis is being sold illegally, which includes that which can be smoked and cannabis that is candy and or other consumable products, can cause illness, where an unregulated and untested product is being sold and consumed. The stores where cannabis is being sold illegally are a significant crime threat, where the store can certainly be targeted by criminals who know that the store has a significant amount of cash and cannabis product on hand. Cannabis sales are overwhelmingly cash sales. Store owners are very unlikely to accept debit or credit card payments for cannabis, where cannabis is not legal on a national level. We strongly recommend that more be done by the mayor, the police department, and other agencies in cooperation to have the store owners and others selling cannabis illegally adequately fined, and that the cannabis product be confiscated. The store should be closed by agencies of the City of New York and the State of New York. If compliance with the law is not met with a modest time period to comply in Community Board 5, District Queens.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, Gary, call the roll.
Mr. Adhikari. Thank you. Carol Benovic Bradley. Antonetta Benanti. Jessica Boyardi. Eric Buckowitz. Rachel Karachi. Maritza Carmona. Bob Chimelli. Deepak Chowdhury. Walter Clayton. Sal Krafasi. Daniel DeBrucker. Dmytro Fitkowski. Stephen Fiedler. Dory Figliola. Fred Howler. Fred Hofferly. Paul Kersner.
I am opposed to this product being out in the public realm, totally. Totally. In fact, we should follow the science and not the politics. If you recall, in the 50s, even doctors smoked cigarettes, and then they found out that cigarettes are not good for your health. Well, we have the same situation here. This stuff is not good for your health. And next month, I will bring you the statistics on exactly what it's doing to kids' brains. So I am opposed to this product at all. It's illegal. It should be illegal.
So that's a no?
I'm not going to vote. I want it illegal. It's illegal. It's as simple as that.
Okay, not voting. Not voting.
Mary Ann Latanzio. Diego Lecleary.
Against?
Ed Latow. Kathy Massey. Peggy O'Kane. Michael O'Kane. Don Passantino. Mike Porcelli. Melissa Rebecca, Ken Rayberger, Ted Renz, Luis Rodriguez, Lee Rottenberg,
On New York One, they have a series about how regulated marijuana is tested and gone over and certified. And it's very important that you get rid of these stores because street marijuana and unregulated can be mixed with things like fentanyl and all kinds of really harmful stuff. So if people think marijuana is bad, you buy it off the street, it's even worse.
Thank you.
Walter Sanchez.
4.
Lily Scarabino. Dennis Steffen. Katarzyna Sita. Guy Neltapa. Barbara Toscano. Patrick Trinchesi. Jasmine Valley. Mariana Zero. Brandon Zwagerman. Did I get everybody? All right, thanks.
Any other committee reports? What I didn't call? All right, I'm going to have a quick zoning and land use report. And I want you to think about this. Ridgewood is in play for being developed. And if you've ever been to Williamsburg, near the Williamsburg Bridge, like South 1st Street, South 2nd Street, west of the BQE, there's been development there, and it kind of reminds me of what could happen here. There's some 3-story buildings, 2-story buildings, small commercial, very much like Ridgewood, and then you have a couple of towers that are 18 stories, some that are 5 stories, some that are 10 stories. And if you walk around that neighborhood, you see that there are people with baby carriages. There are not just, let's call them yuppies, and it's not just gentrified with a couple or a single living there. There are families that are living there. We have to, what we do, we have to really look at Ridgewood, and it's being developed now. And we had somebody come to us about the properties at 1086 and 1102 Cypress Avenue, which is a 40,000 square foot furniture store, and a property across the street, a small one. And they're looking to put up, they came to ask our opinion, to talk to us about putting up a 5-story building and rezoning it to R7A, which has a 4.6 floor area ratio. What that means is the amount of square feet, that's 47,000 square feet, that it is, you can build 4.6 times that in space, whether it's residential or commercial. They are going to have a commercial overlay where there be commercial on the first floor, and they want to put 5 stories up. That would be changing the zoning, and it's for 40 units. They said 5 of those units would be studios, 10 would be 1-bedroom, 10 would be 2-bedroom, and 15 would be 3-bedroom units, which is kind of, a lot of developers don't do that. He's going to live there on the property. What it's zoned for right now is M1-4D, which is a 1.65 FAR. They can't build as much apartments or commercial, but they can go up 10 stories. So we have to think about what that means, how we want to look to develop Ridgewood. I just want you to think about that. We're going to have discussions. You could come to our land use meetings, and really, we want to get that out. Yes, Jasmine. Yes.
My only comment would be that the infrastructure regarding the sewer, where is all the waste going right now? We have a serious issue with that.
We have, we definitely have to, infrastructure is a big thing. The schools, Ridgewood's going to be developed. I mean, it's in play. And is it a matter of the height? We're going to give up the height, and we'll have more people if it's 5 stories, more families. This is, he's got 40 units here. And they can't do close to that amount, maybe half if we keep the same zoning, but they can go higher. So you're right. We have to look at the infrastructure. I don't know what they did down there in Williamsburg. I mean, what it was before, factories being used during the day. Now it's all night long. So we are going to look at that. That's very important to us. Yes, Kathy, and then yes. Yeah. You weren't clear yesterday?
Yeah, on other days, but yesterday, I wasn't clear when you just said it. They can go up higher.
Correct.
10 stories.
Correct.
How many apartments does that give them?
They didn't have a number, but it's got to be half.
That's my question.
Probably half the units, because it's only 1.65 FAR instead of 4.6 FAR. So it's a matter of they can go higher, but they have to use less. They have to
right, but they could eventually wind up with the same amount of apartments.
No. That's what the FAR floor area ratio means. They could use. They can only use that amount of floor area, and it's 1.65 times the 47,000 square feet. Where with the new zone, the R7A, it's 4.6 FAR. So they could do a lot more floor area ratio.
And the
yes,
concern.
and then yes. I'll get you.
If they go higher, it's going to be more expensive apartments and less people there. Because there'll be bigger apartments. So it's a question, do you want to have more affordable apartments for more people?
They have about 25 to 30% of the apartments will be affordable.
Right, if they do the zoning change. If they don't, if you have fewer apartments, then you're going to have bigger apartments, and it's going to be more, you have wealthier people there. So
it's just something we have to talk about. I mean, maybe you made a decision, now, but we have to talk about it.
Well, it's just a trade-off. Do you want rich people, or do you want affordable apartments?
Beg. Oh, you want to
explain? The way it was explained, the tall building has to have setbacks.
Right.
So that it winds up skinny at the top. So you're not going to have great big apartments. What they're proposing to build is a big square, squat-looking 5 stories where they can get actually in more people, because the 10-story thing has a 1.65 FAR, which means they can only build 1.6 times the square footage, but it's all tall and skinny.
So I didn't want to really be particular about this project yet, because it's way in advance of them turning it into city planning, but go ahead.
Yeah, I also just wanted to add that they would provide sufficient parking, more than they're required to do under the building. And he was open with us to say that he's going to come back and he wants to understand what we want in that community. So they were really open to a lot of discussion on this.
Yeah, that's correct. And again, we just wanted to talk about the future of Ridgewood. We're not going to talk about it today, but come to our land use meeting. Yes, Salvatore Carafassi.
The thing that we have to realize that there's a big demand for apartments right now.
Right.
The apartments, we do rentals in my office, and there's hardly anything available. We're renting 1-bedroom apartments now for almost $2,000 a month. Why? Because the demand is so great, because there's not enough apartments. So if you build more apartments, it creates more inventory, which basically would mean less in rent at the end of the day.
Okay.
So if you don't rent and Ridgewood, I tell you the truth, my son lives in Glendale. It's all families. There's all kids. He's there with 2 kids. He walks around. Mostly families are walking around Ridgewood now.
And I think it's going to be a very important thing for us to look at and discuss. We could have some good fertile discussion on it, and we could really shape how Ridgewood is developed by what we recommend.
Walter?
Yes.
I think it's important to mention that they talked about the percentage of affordable housing, but they didn't talk about is the parking. Now, they said they would have ample parking, but we've been down this road before. Is this underground parking? Would it then become another business renting parking spaces, or are they assigned to the people that are in the building? I mean, there are a lot of questions here before we move.
We'll get to this particular project, but again, I just wanted you to think about how we're going to develop Ridgewood. All right, let's move on. We have nominations. The time is now 9:04. We have nominations for Community Board 5 Executive Committee positions, and then old and new business, and then we're done. So, Gary, you want to take over? Is that?
Okay, so the positions on the Executive Committee of Community Board 5 are chairperson, first vice chairperson, second vice chairperson, treasurer or financial secretary, secretary, and 4 at-large positions. So Currently, the chairperson is Vincent Arcuri. He's been ill, but he is getting better from what I have seen and know. First vice chairperson is Walter Sanchez. The second vice chairperson is Dmytro Fetkowski. The treasurer is Kathy Massey. The secretary is Peggy O'Kane. And the at-large members are Ted Renz, Paul Kersner, Fred Haller, and Mary Ann Latanzio. So, are there any nominations for the position of chairperson? Paul Kersner.
I'd like to nominate Walter Sanchez.
Okay. Walter, do you accept?
I'm humbled, a 50-year member of the committee board. Thank you. Yes, sure. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So, it doesn't need a second. And there will also be nominations at the June meeting. The June meeting being June 14th, Wednesday, June 14th. Fred Haller. I'm sorry? Okay. Any other nominations for chairperson? Going once, going twice? Okay. Nomination for chairperson is closed at this point. We'll reopen in June. For first vice chairperson, any nominations? Dmytro?
I nominate Kathy Massey.
Kathy, do you accept? Kathy, Dmytro nominated you for first vice chair.
I accept.
Okay. Any other nominations for first vice chair? Going once, going twice? Okay, thank you. Second vice chair, any nominations?
I'll nominate Dmytro Fetkowski for second vice chair.
Dmytro, do you accept?
I do.
Okay. Any other nominations for second vice chair? Going once, going twice? Okay, nomination closed. For treasurer, any nominations for treasurer? Dmytro?
I nominate Eric Buckwitz.
Okay. Eric, do you accept?
Let me read the description of treasurer. He's a lawyer.
I accept.
Okay. Any other nominations for treasurer? Going once, going twice? Nominations closed for now. All right. For secretary, any nominations for secretary?
I nominate Peggy O'Kane.
Okay, so Mary Ann Latanzio. Peggy, do you accept?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Any other nominations for secretary? Going once, going twice? Nominations are closed. All right. And for at-large positions, any nominations for members at large?
I nominate Fred Haller.
Wait, I didn't recognize anybody yet.
Sorry.
Who even said that? I see Mr. Wren's hand up first.
So, after serving for a number of years as an at-large member, I want to thank this board for supporting me and having the honor to serve this entire board and the communities that it serves. However, I've decided not to seek another term. I'm getting up there in age, and think it's time to move on. And I'd like to, open the door for someone else to take over. We need new blood. We need, new succession. So again, I want to thank you for the service that I was able to give to this community board. And then finally, I'd like to nominate Paul Kersner for at-large position.
Well, Ted, thank you for all the good you've done, and we thank you for playing a leadership role for so many years. Mr. Kersner, do you accept the nomination?
I have one.
Okay.
I'd like to nominate Marianne Latanzio.
Let me look up first. Marianne, do you accept? And Dory, you had a nomination? Fred Haller? Mr. Haller, do you accept?
Sure.
Okay. Other nominations for members at large? Ed Littau. Okay. Walter, do you accept?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Any other nominations for at-large members? Any nominations? Going once? Where? Oh.
I'd like to nominate
Jasmine, do you accept? You accept? Okay. Any others?
First call.
Dimitri, you got anything? No. All right, going once, going twice. Nomination closed. Thank you. We'll reopen nominations for all positions at the June meeting.
All right, we're now at the time for old business and new business. Anybody want to bring anything up? Yes, Kathy Massey.
If I recall correctly, at the executive board meeting, there was a discussion about a June get-together of the board, since we have so many new people and we really don't know each other. So it was suggested that, like we do at Christmas holiday time, that at the June meeting, we would do the same thing. We'd have light social appetizers and coffee and cake. Are we still going to do that? Because if we are, we need to let John know tonight.
Yes.
That's on?
Sure.
Then
Nobody's
everybody
objected.
should know about it.
No party for Paul. Paul.
If you use the caterer that we use at the property owner, I'll be happy to pick up the tab.
Thank you,
Done.
Paul Kersner.
For 100 people, you're in. Go ahead, Paul.
And I'll be happy to do the ordering, John.
The second thing, I think that what we need to do is everybody should have a name tag.
Oh. A name tag.
Everybody should have a name tag, the neighborhood that they're from, and the chairpersons of whatever committee, whoever the chair is, that should be included. So the clip should be something that, doesn't have to be put on there.
And you leave the clip here, you leave the name tag here.
So that people know every meeting, yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, anything else? Yes.
Together at a group table rather than individual ones. I'm hearing that there are non-members sitting at some of the tables with members. And
Okay.
if we had it in proper form, only members were together and non-members were not mixed in. So I like the old.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, there was some debate over, because of COVID, we wanted to kind of spread people out a little bit more. Okay, yes.
I'd like to second that. I don't know everyone's faces. We've been so far apart. If I tripped over them in the street, I wouldn't know they were members of the board. This way, we can see their faces.
If that's the way you'd like it, next meeting, that's what we'll do it. Is that okay, Gary?
I like that. So, I think we need to be careful and try to space people, and that's why we're sitting like this.
We're trying to space people.
COVID is still an issue. It may not
We don't have to fit in one another's laps.
All right, so we'll set it up U-shaped, but it'll be bigger, so people don't have to sit next to each other. How's that? Compromise. Nobody's wearing a mask, but somebody's wearing a mask. There you go. All right. Any other new or old business? We're good? Can I have a motion to adjourn? Everybody, oh my gosh, okay. Thank you. See you next month.